Okay, thank you, Manan.
Okay, sir. Well, guys, in our previous class, we went through delta modulation, and I hope you have all gone through the video tutorial of the same, and you have simulated that delta modulation back in your laptop. In this lab session, let's take up our next experiment, that which is adaptive delta modulation. So in this session, we'll be going through in detail what is adaptive delta modulation. That is, we'll start with its definition, what is delta modulation, followed by drawbacks of delta modulation. So this delta modulation is our previous scheme. So because this delta modulation had some of its drawbacks, so we migrated from delta modulation to adaptive delta modulation by making very minute changes onto the same scheme. And later we'll discuss the block diagram of adaptive delta modulation. Then finally, we'll go through MATLAB simulation of adaptive delta modulation. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. So let me share my screen. So in this lab, we'll be discussing about adaptive delta modulation. So what is adaptive delta modulation? So this adaptive delta modulation is a refined form of delta modulation. It is almost same as delta modulation, but only with minor modification. And let's see what all minor modifications did we do onto this delta modulator in order to achieve adaptive delta modulation. So because of that, here we are using the terminology, it's a refined form of delta modulation. So this delta modulator that which we discussed in our previous session had some drawbacks. Just in order to decrease complexity, so because DPSK, it was quite complex. Just in order to reduce its complexity, we went for delta modulation where complexity was reduced, but this comes at a cost of slope overload error as well as granular error. So here delta modulation has two sorts of errors. One is slope overload error. The other kind of noise that which is found in delta modulation is granular error. Now let's see what this slope overload error is all about. So as the name itself indicates, it's happening due to slope overload. Overload is something that which is happening at a large quantity, and this large quantity is of what? Slope. So here, let me consider this diagram. Let me consider this diagram over here. So wherein this curve, let this be our analog signal. Let this be our analog signal. So this analog signal initially has a greater slope value here. If I trace this curve, you can see that diagrammatically it's having high value of slope. Slope is high. And when we give this sort of analog input having higher values of slope onto delta modulator, onto, let's say we are trying to feed in analog signal that which is associated with very high value of slope onto a delta modulator. And we all know that in delta modulator, it makes use of only single level quantizer. It makes use of single level quantizer, meaning it can change its step size, or the delta size is constant over here. Delta size or the step size is constant. It can either increase this delta value by 1 or it can decrease this delta value by 1. That's it. So that's the only flexibility that which is provisional in delta modulation. So because of which if we feed analog signal with very high slope value here, so here we'll be getting staircase approximation as output over here. So this will be the delta modulator output, this staircase approximation. And you can see that there is a large gap. So because our input analog signal is associated with very high slope value, but our delta modulator is not in a position to keep up with that very high slope. So all it can do is it can increase its step size only by 1. So because of which we might end up losing all this information content. So we are not in a position to make a good approximation of our analog input digitally. So this delta modulator fails, or this difference in turn results as slope overload error. So we call this difference value in turn results in slope overload distortion or error. So this happens for what kind of analog signal? It happens for analog signals that which are associated with very high slope value. In a similar way, let's take up this granular noise. What is this granular noise and when it's found? So let's take our analog signal again, and here you can see on the second half over here, so this orange line that which represents our analog signal is almost constant. It's almost constant. So this is almost constant. Or even if there is some variation, I can think of those variations to be very minimal. So any analog signal that which is associated with very minimal variation. So if I consider such kind of analog signal, so here we expect our delta to follow the same constant value, but here because of large delta size, because here we are associated with very large delta value here, so we might end up missing these information content that which are very minute. So and hence it's called as granular error. So this difference in turn results in a noise called as granular noise, because we'll be missing out lot of minute information because of constant analog signal value or analog value that which is having very minimal variation. So during such kind of situations where analog signal is associated with very less variation, we need delta or the step size to be very small, and here where slope is very large, we want step size or the delta value to be large. So on a whole, we need to adjust the step size of our approximation depending upon the kind of input that which we feed. So here, in order to vary the step size, we'll make use of one more block called as logic for step size control. We'll make use this is the only additional block that which we are using to delta modulation. So this is the only additional block that which we are trying to add. So if I remove this block, so this is as good as a delta modulator. So adaptive delta modulator, ADM, can be thought of as delta modulator plus some logic unit that which controls step size. So that's our adaptive delta modulator. So let's go through its working. So here it so happens that here we'll be passing our sampled input signal. If we are having any analog signal, that analog signal will be sampled using sampler block, and we'll be getting input in terms of discrete form. So this is discrete signal. So right now x of t, that which was continuous in nature, has got converted to x of nts. So right now we are having this discrete signal and we are passing sample by sample values onto this first summer. And what other input can I find here? So what is this input? So this is our predicted output. We can call this as predicted output because I can call this entire unit as a predictor. In few textbooks they call it as predictor, and in few textbooks they call it as integrator, and in few other textbooks they'll call it as accumulator. Or I can also call it simply as a unit that which contains 1 unit delay. So we can use any of these terminologies, but all these terminologies are trying to depict the same thing. And here this predicted output is nothing but previous output. I can also call this as previous approximation. So the entire working remains the same. So when I add this input signal x of nts with that of this predicted approximation, or basically here subtraction is happening between these two quantities. So here I'll be getting the error value, and in turn this error value will be quantized. So here I'll be getting EQ, that is right now error will be quantized. Depending upon the sign of this EQ will make decision, then decision is passed on to this logic unit, where we'll decide whether to stay with the same delta size, or whether to multiply it with 2, or whether to multiply it with 4 times delta or 8 times delta. So the entire decision is taken over here at the logic block, and after that we'll pass it on to, will be increasing the delta value corresponding to that. So now let's have a look at the steps in which this entire adaptive delta modulator works. So initially we'll take the difference between the present sample value represented as x of nts and previous approximation. So previous approximation is the other input. So this is input 1 and this is input 2. And initially we'll assume that input 2 is equal to 0. We initially will assume that input 2 is equal to 0. Remember that. So we'll calculate the difference between these two values, input 1 minus input 2. So depending upon whichever is larger, we'll be getting error value, and I'll be getting error value with positive sign if input 1 is larger, or I'll be getting this error value as negative if input 2 is larger compared to that of input 1. So this error value will in turn be made to send through this 1-bit quantizer. So this error is then quantized, and output of 1-bit quantizer is then given to logic step size control circuit. So it will be, so this output, quantized error output, will then be given to this logic unit where step size will be controlled. So here, if the quantizer output is high, so if this EQ is equal to 1, if this EQ is positive or equal to 1, then the step size is doubled, is either doubled or it's again multiplied by 2, or that is 2 square, or it's again multiplied by 2. If so, this multiplication factor increases, till the approximated output, or the predicted output closely matches to that of our input signal. So till then we'll be multiplying it, or we'll be increasing the scaling factor by 2. Or if the quantizer output is low, so that is if EQ is 0, if EQ is equal to 0, then step size is reduced by 1 for the next sample. So we can reduce this step size by 1 by 2, 1 by 4, or 1 by 8. So we'll be doing the similar kind of step, but in the exactly opposite fashion, So here is a graphical representation where we can have a better idea. So here you can see that, so we'll start with predicted output 0, and these are analog signal. So I can think of this as input 1, and these are input 2. So this is our input 2. So now obviously the error value will be positive because input 1 is at a higher value compared to that of input 2. So this returns quantizer output to be high, that which increases the delta value by 1. So here you can see that delta value has increased by 1, and again subtraction will happen with the next sample, and if the difference is again larger, then again the step size will be increased, and this step size keeps on increasing. This step size, you can see here, it's not a constant, it's increasing from here to here. The step size has increased by a large value, and finally here you can see that it has increased by a large factor. So I can think of this something like 2 power 3. Increase is in terms of 2 power 3. Here increase in the step size is happening at a factor of 2 raised to 2, and here it's just 2. And finally, when the predicted output or the input 2 here in this case is larger compared to that of our analog signal. It's larger compared to that of analog signal because of which we are supposed to reduce the step size. So this is where the error value will be 0 or low. Quantized error value will be 0, and the logic unit that which we had, it decides to decrease the step size. It decides to decrease the step size, something like this in this fashion. And when the analog signal is almost constant, when this is almost constant, or the sample values between the adjacent sample values differs by a very small value, then here you can see that the delta size is actually decreasing by a lot amount. And this keeps on happening. This keeps on happening if the difference between very adjacent samples is very, very low. So by using this adaptive delta modulation technique, we are in turn reducing both slope overload error or noise, as well as granular noise. So this is about the theory of adaptive delta modulation. Now let's have a look at its code. So how exactly this adaptive delta modulation is implemented in MATLAB. So in adaptive delta modulation, initially we'll prepare analog input. We'll prepare an analog input. And in order to prepare an analog input, we all know that we need time value as well as some amplitude value. And later, in order to visualize it, we'll make use of the keyword plot. Just by using this plot keyword, I can plot this continuous waveform. And I'll use the one more keyword, hold on, such that I'll again plot the adaptive delta modulator output. I'll also plot adaptive delta modulator output on the same plot. On the same plot, we'll be having two different curves where the continuous curve represents our analog signal. So this is our analog signal. And using this hold on, I can plot one more curve, that is the output of, here you can see that we are using again keyword plot, that which plots adaptive delta modulator output. So here, this is happening because of this function. So this entire thing is happening because of this adaptive delta modulator function. So this can be thought of as function calling statement. Now you can ask, where is this function declared? So this function is declared in one more .m file. It's declared in one more .m file called as a delta mod.m. So you can see that here, this is the function name, and we have used the same name convention for the M file. You can go through this comment. We can mention comments in MATLAB by using this percentage sign. Percentage sign followed by any string can be thought of as comment. And comments are necessary because in order to have a better readability of the program, we need to have this comment. So this is the function calling statement. So when this command gets executed, the transfer will be passed on to this function. And over here, how many arguments are we trying to pass? We are passing x, that which is our input signal, followed by one more argument, and followed by three more arguments. So the first argument is our input signal x, and let's see what this second argument, third, as well as fourth arguments are all about. So in order to have a better understanding of that, so let's see over here. So this is function. So this is how we'll write function in MATLAB. So when the control is passed onto this function, so this statement, so this all these arguments values will be passed on to the function, will be mapped onto the function, where the first value represents the signal input, where the first argument represents the signal input. So you can see the things written in comment, the signal input, and it should be a vector quantity. After that, the second argument is delta size. It describes the delta size. So it's the minimum step size. This would be multiplied with 2 by a factor of 2 if required, or by a factor of 2 into 2, or by a factor of 2 into 2 into 2. So where n can take on any value, it depends upon our program. So that's the delta value. Followed by, we are having our third argument as TD, where TD is the original sampling period of the input signal, followed by TS, that's their last argument, and here TS represents the required sampling period for adaptive delta modulator output. So here we'll be again resampling the same signal at a rate of TS. Note that it should be an integral multiple of input signal's period. If not, it would be rounded to nearest integer value. So here we are trying to map these four values. The starting value is x, 1, 0.1 and 0.3. So this is, so input signal is x. Delta size here is 1. That will be mapped down to this delta. So TD value is 0.1 and TS value is 0.3 over here. And this, so this entire thing explains the argument values. Now right after that, so here we'll substitute the value of TS, that is, so because we are having TS divided by TD, where TD value is equal to 0.1, whereas TS value is equal to 0.3. So here we'll be doing this division, and in turn we'll be getting it as equal to 3. And this value after rounding it off will be assigned to new frequency value of sampling. This value we are assigning it on to NFAC, and we'll use this value in order to downsample signal input, that which is equal to x, and in turn we'll assign that value onto xsig, and we'll copy its length onto a variable called as L, x signal. Likewise, we'll also copy the length of signal input onto one more variable, L signal input, and right after that we'll initialize analog delta modulated output to a vector that which is containing all zeros, all zero values, and we'll initialize two counter values, count1 and count2, and this count1 holds the value in order to step up the delta. In a similar way, we are maintaining one more counter, count2, that which is used to step down the delta value. And finally, we'll initialize sum as equal to 0. So this is the integrator output, or the previous sample, or the predictor output, and we'll make use of for loop. So starting from 1 to the last value of this length of x signal, we'll repeat it for that many number of iterations. And here, if the x signal value, first sample, if it is equal to sum, we are not supposed to do anything. But this won't be the case, and will obviously meet with this case where, so this is if statement, else if, followed by one more else. So by now you might have studied the structure of if else statement, that is if, else if, and finally we'll be having this else statement. So if followed by some condition, or else if some condition. So in a similar fashion we have written this. So if x signal where initial sample, so initially we'll start, our initial iteration value of I will be equal to 1. So if the starting value is equal to sum, then do nothing, but this won't be the case. So obviously we'll moving on to else if. So where if x signal of I is greater than the sum value, So obviously we know that sum is initially initialized to 0 value. So obviously this sample value will be of a greater value compared to that of sum, and hence we'll be entering into this else if condition. We'll be entering into this else if condition where we'll check inside this else if, we'll check the count value, count one value, and count one value here, what is it? It's equal to 0. So because of which obviously 0 is lesser than 2, and we'll be doing sum is equal to sum plus delta. So here we had assumed delta value to be equal to, so what was our delta value? Delta value was equal to 1. Delta value here is equal to 1. So this delta value will be mapped onto here, and in turn the same delta value is being used over here. So delta value 0 plus 1 will happen, and that 1 will be assigned onto sum, and then we'll execute the end statement that which takes us out of this if statement, and we'll check this whether this 1, right now sum value is equal to 1, whether it's lesser than the sampled value, the first sampled value. And if it is true, we'll increment the count value of this register by 1, such that 0 plus 1 will happen, and again we'll move back, again we'll jump back to this condition, we'll again jump back here, and right now count value is 1. Is 1 lesser than 2? Obviously yes. And again sum will be added with one more delta value, that is 1 plus 1, 2. So 2 will be assigned onto the sum, and again we'll come back over here, and again if sum value, that which is 2, if it is still lesser than the top first sample value, again this count value will be increased, by 1, and again we'll get back over here and we'll check whether it's lesser than 2 or equal to 2. In this case it's equal to 2. When it's equal to 2, we'll increase this delta, will multiply this delta value by a factor of 2. So this entire part can be found only in adaptive delta modulation. This is where delta value is being changed by a large, because this delta value is being multiplied by some external factor, scaling factor of 2, 4, and 8, because of which it increases the step size by a large amount. So this is how we can step up delta value. So this part is same as that of in delta modulation, but whereas this additional part is very important, where initially we are increasing the delta size by 2, followed by 4, then followed by 8. So this is for if the analog signal is having very high slope, if it is increasing exponentially, but whereas if it is decreasing, then the else part will get executed. So this else part is same. Only thing is we are changing this positive sign in the earlier part. In the earlier case, we had this plus sign, but in the else part, as we got to decrease. So because of which we are trying to subtract sum with that of delta, and here you can see that sum minus 2 times of delta or sum minus 4 times of delta is happening. So all you got to do is copy paste from here to here, the entire code remains the same. Only thing you are supposed to do is change the sign of these equations, and over here the condition that we check is whether the sum is lesser than that of the sampled value, and here we got to check whether sum is greater than that of x signal or the sampled value, and here we'll make use of counter 2, and whereas here we'll make use of counter 1. That's the only difference. This program is very simple. And finally, whatever value of sum we get for every for loop, we'll be assigning this sum onto this ADM out, that is adaptive delta modulator out. Finally, this function will return this ADM out, that which will be plotted. So now let's execute this program. In our MATLAB. So open up your Google Classroom. And you got to open up your analog and digital communication lab classroom. And here is where I have posted the MATLAB code for adaptive delta modulation. So in fact, it's a zipped file. So all you got to do is click on it and you got to download this adaptive delta modulation zip file by hitting on these three vertical dots and followed by open in new window. Only then you'll get the option to download this file. So it's a zip file that which contains two M files. One, the starting file adm.m is for to plot the analog signal as well as to call the function adaptive delta modulation.m.
ಬೆನ್ನಕ್ಕೆ ಶೇರ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್,
ಶೇರ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
Okay, now sir, is the screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, so here, so when you download this, you will get a zip file. All you got to do is extract that zip file, and under this zip file you are having two M files. So the starting adm.m file contains the code to plot our analog signal, followed by it has a function calling statement that which calls adaptive delta modulation.m function. So these two, make sure that these two are in the same folder. So for that, what I have done is, you can see over here under my documents folder, I have created a specific folder here. Let me zoom in this. So let me zoom in this. I have created a specific folder for MATLAB codes for analog and digital communication lab. So here you got to double click it, and here is where I have downloaded my adaptive delta modulation file. And after unzipping it, so it creates a folder like this, and inside of this you can find these two M files. One is adm.m, the other one is adaptive delta mod.m file. So here, let's jump back to our MATLAB. So all I have done is I have opened the same file in MATLAB editor. And now if I execute this file, it will ask me to change the folder. So all I got to do is hit on add to path button. So after adding these two files onto the path, now I can run my code. So if I run this code, it will open up a window, figure 1, that which has two plots. So the one in green color, corresponds to our analog signal. So it corresponds to our analog signal, and the one that which is in blue in color represents our delta modulated output. So here if I zoom in, so here you can have a better idea how exactly the step size is changing. So initially we had, even though ideally we expect a 90-degree slope, but here the approximated output is having this kind of step size over here. You can see that the step size is changing by a lot amount over here, that which is evident. And because it's exceeding at this specific point, so it is trying to decrease its step size. And when the variation between the sample values are very, very less, the step size is getting smaller and smaller. So that's the beauty of adaptive delta modulation. By using this adaptive delta modulation, we won't be losing any minute information. So that helps to preserve lot of information from analog signal to digital signal. Okay, thank you one and all.